and girls, Gallifrey Forever 97 here. Welcome to the first review of 2018. Today I'll bring you a review on the latest new series releases from Big Finish, and that is the 10th Doctor Audio Adventures Volume 2, starring David Tennant as the 10th Doctor, Billie Piper's first venture into Big Finish, and Camille Coduri as Jackie Tyler. So we're looking at all three stories in this set, which includes Infamy of the Aras, you have the Sword of Chevalier, and Cold Vengeance, which sees the return of the Ice Warriors. Before watching this review, I highly recommend going back and watching a previous review I did last year, which was for the first volume of the 10th Doctor Adventures. If you search my channel name and then 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 1 review, you should find the video. I highly recommend watching that. But yeah, just provides context for the first volume of the 10th Doctor Adventures. So without further ado, let's get into this. Allons-y, cue titles.
Is that a Zaros I see before me?
And the thing about us Tylers, we won't lie down when we're beaten.
Hello, Rose. It's your mum. Sorry to call. We've sort of been invaded.
You're not the Daleks or Sontarans. You don't need to be. So why are you doing this?
It's a fencing match, mon ami.
What? The Ice Warriors.
I'm Rose Tyler. He's the Doctor. One question. What the hell's going on?
So before we get into the stories themselves, I just want to show you around the box. It's a really nice cover featuring our cast members and the Zaros and the Ice Warriors on the front cover. So it is a slipcase. This is a limited edition release. Mine's 3,554 of 5,000. As you can see, it's a really nice little booklet, which obviously contains the CDs themselves. Obviously you've got the three main stories and also obviously the documentary. And in the centre of a block of production notes, so exclusive stills, for example, of the cast. And also notes with the writers of the stories. So I was really pleased to pick this up over Christmas. There was a sort of like thing in the back of my head saying, oh, have they sold out? But fortunately enough, they haven't. I think they are still on the Big Finish website. But I got the previous one in this style, so like sort of kitted edition. And it goes along nicely with the first volume as like a 10th Doctor collection. So yeah, overall, really pleased with the product. Really lovely graphics. So the first adventure we have on this set is Infamy of the Aras, written by John Dorney. The synopsis on the back reads, when Jackie Tyler takes an away day to visit her old friend Marge in Norwich, she finds the holiday immediately interrupted by the worst way possible, an alien invasion. The infamous Aras have come to take over Earth, or have they? After Jackie calls in the Doctor and Rose to deal with the menace, it soon becomes clear that it's a very unusual invasion indeed. The Doctor's about to uncover one of the most heinous crimes in the history of the galaxy, and if he can't stop it, an awful lot of people are going to die. Like the first story in the previous volume, this is an Earth invasion story. However, I do feel it sort of pushes the boundaries of what we perceive an Earth invasion style story to be, with a really awesome twist in the middle, which sort of really elevates the story. So we're sort of really enjoying it. It's like, oh my god, this is a really cool angle. We get introduced to the story through the character of Jackie and the family she's sort of staying with when she's trying to go on holiday. I thought Camille Coduri did an absolutely brilliant performance as Jackie. I think she's a really standout character because she was sort of put in positions we haven't seen in a TV show necessarily. Her being more involved in the story, even going to space at one point, which obviously we never sort of saw that full extent. So that was really, really nice to see her involvement in what the Doctor and Rose usually do, for example. Sort of taking, I guess, cues from her daughter. So the Doctor's some really great moments where you obviously play what David Tennant does immensely is sort of play the comedy, but then he can just switch, and then if he needs to be that threat, he just goes like, you're just, oh, I'm not screwing with you. This story starts off a sort of theme for Rose, where she's doing a lot of stuff on her own without the Doctor. I guess this is later on to series 2, and she's pretty much is becoming the Doctor character, which is what companions tend to do in the new series before they depart, like that. Oh, they pretty much are like the female equivalent of the Doctor. And obviously this sort of echoes back to what happens in Cold Vengeance later on, where she leads her own team, etc. But it's just nice to see her sort of becoming her own character and not sort of relying on the Doctor. Like, she's really, really independent, solving mysteries and that on her own. Probably one of the most funniest Big Finish listens I've ever listened to. It was honestly really, really funny. I thought, oh god, it's going to be really awkward when they started it, but literally, when you get into it, you're like, oh my god, this is hilarious. Like, some of the villains, like the amazing quips, one-liners from all the characters, etc. Just honestly really funny, but it doesn't go obviously too humorous. Like, there is obviously an underlying threat, and that threat is always there. But I'd say it's probably the most fun and enjoyable story in this set. So I really enjoyed the side characters, specifically the mother and daughter, which Jackie's staying with for her immediate holiday. I really enjoyed their character arc, and the daughter sort of coming to her own and sort of being not sort of told what to do by the mother, who you find is quite controlling and really, really nasty. But karma does come around at the end. So the villains in the story are really funny. Some of them act really idiotic, but then sometimes they're sort of like put in situations where they're put with people that are sort of doing stuff wrong. You can just see their frustration. The only complaint I would have is that they're like too many figureheads. Because we have the Zaros, the people behind them, and there's this random one which is introduced. There's like loads of people, and then there's like all these side characters helping out the big one. I thought it was just a bit sort of like too many heads talking for me. The twist in the story is really, really good. You're sort of listening to it, and I was thinking, oh, something's not right, obviously because it sort of plays the stereotypical, oh, it's an Earth invasion. But you really see the brutality of the threat. With the Zaros and the people behind them. But yeah, once the twist happens, that opens up more hilarious possibilities. An Earth invasion we'd not seen before, but it completely works for the dynamic of the new series. It is questionable whether it would work in classic series. It's very much a story of the new series, but they are doing new series stories, so adapt with the times, I guess. Overall, it's my favourite story of the set. It's hilarious, it's threatening, it's got a really good pace, the characters you're really invested in, pushing the boundaries of what an Earth invasion story is. Yeah, and it's a story I'm going to really remember from the 10th Doctor Adventures on Big Finish. So the second story now is the Sword of Chevalier, I think that's what it's called, written by Guy Adams. So the synopsis reads, 1791, and the Doctor and Rose get to meet one of the most enigmatic, thrilling and important people in history, the Chevalier of Dion. She used to be known as a spy, but then she used to be known as a lot of things. If there's only one thing the Doctor knows, it's that identity is what you make it. Choose a life for yourself and be proud. Mind you, if the Constitutorium of the Obsidian ASAP get their way, all lies may soon be over. This is the historical story of the set. I say you will find a tendency of these two following a sort of like pattern, which I guess the new series used to do with their sort of first 3 episodes. So the historical elements surrounding it I think are really well utilised in the story. So you find out this story is set in Slough, which shout out to Adam Norton-Hoovian. I've been to Slough, and when they were sort of mocking it, I did felt sort of like, I was like, no, don't offend Slough. I went there to a convention to meet Tom Baker, so I had quite a good memory in Slough, so I was just like, oh, don't be going hard on Slough, Rose. So through research, I found out the character of Chevalier Dion was a real person. A really good lead into the 13th Doctor, and David Tennant comments about sort of like the gender, because obviously they don't sort of sign with anything, like sort of like it just says it doesn't really matter, and it's really cool to see the progress of that and how the Doctor's like, well, it doesn't really matter. Like Rose is like just got this thing about like, oh, what are they? What are they? And like the Doctor's like, it doesn't matter. Well, the first half of this story is just Rose and the Doctor mocking about, really. Like obviously there's a point where they have to find this mystery of like this alien spaceship has landed. For most of it, it's just them having a laugh. Like the Doctor sings for a bit, then they go sword fighting. It just has fun with the Doctor and Rose. I guess overweighs the story in a bit, like you're sort of more interested in that than what's going on at some points. The villain, or should I say villains, you'll know when you listen to the story what I mean. But they are really gruesome, like really horrific stuff to the ears. And then they start making like jokes and that, and you're sort of like awkwardly laughing because obviously like we've been in situations where like there's a really like creepy person, you're like yeah. But it's just one of those moments where they're sort of like making jokes, but they're really good as well. But yeah, they were really good. So a lot of fun with them. It was nice to see the 10th Doctor vulnerable. There's a point where Rose takes a sort of screwdriver and she goes off, and the 10th Doctor's like in this situation. Everybody's like, I need this thing for the sonic screwdriver, and this thing's for the sonic screwdriver. So it's nice for him to be pushing his own way. Obviously he's not sort of, doesn't have his gadgets and all that stuff, so he is literally using his mind to get out of these situations, which I think is a really nice angle of the Doctor. Compared to the previous story, I thought this was sort of like a step back for like what they're pushing for Rose. She obviously goes on and does sort of things on her own, but she gets tied up and made like the vulnerable like female companion. I thought it was sort of stereotypical version of that. So it was a shame it sort of took a step back really in this story. I'm very disappointed with like how this story was resolved, to be honest. Like the villains have pretty much won and succeeded, and then the Doctor just says something. They're like, oh yeah, sorry, we're gonna stop what we're doing now, and we're gonna put everything back to how we had it. And it just was really just massive cop out, to be honest. That was the only disappointing thing really, because they were pretty threatening. They had this really gruesome plan, and the Doctor just said like, oh, hang on, isn't this blah blah blah? And they're like, oh yeah, oh no, sorry, we've got to follow our laws, whatever. It was just really cop out. Oh, is that it? Oh, okay. So overall, yeah, I really enjoyed this story. I'll say at times, obviously, the sort of Doctor and Rose relationship overpowers the story, and you're more sort of interested in their situations and sort of following the story. However, the characters and the villains are really quirky, and they just sort of go along with the madness of the world that they're sort of setting up in this historic occasion. However, I was just really disappointed with the abrupt ending, I guess. And the third and final story of this set is Cold Vengeance, written by Matt Fitton, which is the return of the Ice Warriors. The synopsis reads, the TARDIS arrives on Colstar, a vast freezer satellite packed with supplies to feed a colony world, but there are cracks in the ice and something scuttles under the floors. Soon, Rose and the Doctor encounter robots, space pirates and refused collectors. As Colstar's tunnels begin to melt, an even greater threat stirs within. An old enemy of the Doctor puts a plan into action, a plan for retribution. Nobody's vengeance is colder than the Ice Warriors. Ooh, I quite like that. So quite a fun little synopsis there. So straight off the bat, it was just great to see the 10th Doctor interact with another classic villain. Obviously the 50th allowed him to interact with the Zygons, but this obviously story gives him this whole full-on story with the Ice Warriors. In the first like 10-15 minutes, I was literally sort of thrown off, because you have the threat of the Ice Warriors, and they're like, here's some space pirates, here's some robots. You're like, what the hell? Please give me one thing at a time. And then there's just like, oh, okay. So obviously then all these people band together to stop the Ice Warriors. I did enjoy the side characters, but I just didn't feel that invested in them when like stuff happened to them, for example. It was just like, oh, some of them represent like really selfish, and it was just like, well, if you die, goodbye. I didn't really enjoy the story as a whole, to be honest. I liked the last sort of 10-15 minutes when the Doctor and the Ice Warrior is just talking in the TARDIS, and there's just really nice moral messages on sort of death, revenge. You know, it's just a really nice sort of like human touch on sort of big concepts. So I really enjoyed that. But apart from that, the story just sort of plodded along. Like, it's this story we've seen many times before, and I didn't feel it really added anything new to the Ice Warriors. You got to hear like some of the classic sound effects of the Ice Warriors mixed in with the new voices, which I quite like that. But overall, I just don't feel this story represented anything new, which is obviously, to be fair, is quite hard because you do have like 50 years of stories. But yeah, I just sort of didn't feel it was anything new, which I got excited about. It was just fine. And so in the story, Rose gets to sort of lead a team of people to escape the crashing ship. It's great to see her sort of lead them, and when stuff happens to said members, she does have to sort of face the consequences, and one of them dies, for example, and she has to tell something that's related to them, and it's just a really nice sort of scene, again, relating to that sort of heartfelt touch on these sort of mass morals, etc. That sort of reminds Rose, I guess, how it isn't fun sometimes. The past few stories, they've been doing all this great stuff, but somebody sort of died under a watch, for example. So it was nice to sort of see the consequences of that, and I think that sort of shapes the Ice Warriors' decision making as well. As overall, I thought it was the weakest story of the set, to be honest. I say it obviously didn't sort of feel fresh or new. It didn't really give anything new to Ice Warriors. I just really enjoyed sort of the last 10-15 minutes of it, when it's just sort of like the one singular Ice Warrior talking with the Doctor about sort of certain concept. War, for example. Quite sort of sad to end this one on the way it did, but you're sort of still left wanting more. It's like, it can't end there. I want more of the Adventures of the 10th Doctor and Rose. Overall, yeah, I do really enjoy this set. I think I might prefer Volume 1 to Volume 2. It was absolutely amazing to see David Tennant obviously come back and improve on what he did on Volume 1. And I think Billie Piper did an amazing job recreating the character of Rose and Audrey for the first time. It's amazing how they just slip back into these roles after 9 to 10 years, you know. I can't imagine doing that, sort of playing a character and then having to sort of get back in the mindset. But they just do absolutely brilliantly. I thought the stories were pretty decent. I think the first one was the strongest and then it sort of went down, down, down. That looks really bad, but I sort of felt the story sort of deflated as they went along. However, they do have some really standout character moments for the Doctor and Rose and some of the side character villains. That was really nice. There's some really lovely gems in these stories. However, it's just amazing to have further adventures with the 10th Doctor and Rose from sort of near the end of Series 2. So for me growing up, obviously this is just a complete nostalgic trip. Do you mean it's like when you grow up with Tom Baker's Doctor, like you have that sort of association. And obviously Series 2 was my sort of get into period of Doctor Who, like that was when I was fully watching the show. And I was reinvested in 10th Doctor Rose. So yeah, I'd sort of keep reminding myself. And as I said, as you get to the end of Cold Vengeance, you're like, oh, don't end there, no! I'd really like to see both actors return at some point. However, I would love to see, I know a few people have sort of seen say this, would love to see Freeman Adjuman return as Martha for the 3rd volume. Sort of coming full circle with the David Tennant characters. But if it is another 10th Doctor Rose adventure, great. But I would just love for Volume 3 to see Martha's venture into Series 3, because I think Series 3 is my favourite series of the new series. So that would be a gem to re-listen to that. So before filming this review, I did ask on social media for the YouTube channel what you people think of the 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 2, and here are the couple of responses I got. DWSSGO1 on Twitter says, absolutely fantastic. A great set that evokes the era well, with a mixture of energy, human drama and humour. The cast are terrific with Billie, David and Camille, all pitch perfect, terrific. It's great to see you really enjoying the box set. I say, I even had a few complaints of it. I really enjoyed just that sort of pleasure of listening to going back to sort of 2006 when that sort of theme kicks in. You're like, oh, I've gone back to my childhood. I find on Instagram, Wholock1996 says, this wasn't as good as Volume 1 with Donna. They say it's still got good stories, but I thought that it didn't feel like a 10/Rose series. It's a shame it didn't sort of recreate the magic of the 2006 Series 2 series. But I say I thought Billie Piper did an excellent job coming back into it. I guess you could improve on it slightly, but I do think overall, for a first attempt into audio as well, obviously because a lot of these actors, you know, use visuals and that, but you're just using your ears. But yeah, I do agree with you that it's sort of not as good as Volume 1. So the complaint out of Volume 1 was like, it didn't sort of experiment enough, which I think this set did, which I was pleased with. Like the first 2 stories anyway, they sort of pushed the boat more out there. Like I thought the Volume 1 they played safe. But maybe for Volume 3 if you're Martha, like maybe have like a mini story arc. Like, you know, like we'll see with like the Monk 3-parter from Series 10. Obviously most people don't really like that, the sort of set of trilogy of episodes. But something along those lines, or something sort of having a theme, that would be quite nice. Obviously these are just sort of standard adventures. But as I said, I think you can pick up this version of it still on Big Finish as of recording. I just sort of started kind of, they're sort of sold out. But yeah, I highly recommend listening to these if you love the 10th Doctor and Rose. Big Finish did an absolutely brilliant job, and they're not sort of connected to anything. You know, they're just sort of standard adventures, which is quite nice. Sort of contained in this box. You don't have to listen to something else to listen to this, for example. Which I think is the problem with Big Finish. Like, sort of where do you sort of go into it? So I'm sort of trying to find sort of new releases where I can sort of jump on board. Like 10th Doctor Adventures, for example, and then you sort of continue on from that. It's really nice to have this on my shelf. I just want to thank Big Finish for recreating my childhood, basically. That's I can't really thank them enough. It's just great to have this pairing back from this awesome time of Doctor Who. So thank you very much for watching, guys and girls. Please comment, like and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter, like the Gallifrey for Everyone's Facebook page, Instagram, Google+. Links to that stuff in the description below. What did you think of the 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 2? Let me know in the comment section below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What were your thoughts? love to continue discussion in the description below. So as always, guys and girls, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.